we'll begin today's session. You can pin yourself to KitKat Lab. So, ma'am will start with the presentation. Okay, is the presentation visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, today we're going to study about air.
Yes, today we are going to begin with air. So, this topic as such is a more of a theoretical topic. It is more of things that are really there in the air, and we're just going to speak more about it. The experimental to be done with this is which we can do it in the lab only. So, as and when it comes, I will let you know. So, whenever hopefully we are meeting, we'll be doing those activities. Okay, so we'll start with the topic air. Now, what do you all know about air? What is it that about air that we know?
Ma'am, it's all
Just
around
a
us.
few of you all can tell. It is all around us. Okay, what
Ma'am,
else?
it's a mixture of gases, different gases.
Very good. It is a mixture of different gases. Anything else?
Air mainly consists of nitrogen and oxygen. I mean, mostly nitrogen and then comes oxygen.
Okay. Air contains mainly nitrogen, that is 78 to 80%, and oxygen is 20 to 21%. Anything else? So basically, this is what you all know about air, what you all have
Ma'am,
studied
and
up till now,
ma'am,
up till your fourth.
as we go far away from Earth's surface, I mean in the air, the more we go, the air becomes thinner and thinner, and in the final layer of Earth, it's so thin that we can't breathe there.
Yes, very good. Correct. So now, for understanding that, we need to understand that we have got an atmospheric layer around us. Okay, we are Earth. We are the Earth, and we are living on the Earth. Okay, for example, there is a ball. There's a big ball, and we are living on the ball. Okay, we're living on the ball. We're not living inside the ball. See, right now, also, if you have seen images of the moon, we are not going inside the surface of the moon. We are not going in the interior of the moon. We are just living on, we are just going on the moon. The same way we are living on the earth. Okay, wherever earth is there, we're living on the earth. Now, above us, there is an atmospheric layer. That atmospheric layer, as someone told, is thicker up to some kilometer level. Up to some kilometer level, it is very, very dense, and it contains uh, a lot of rich gases. As we keep on going higher and higher, those gases also keep on reducing. Those gases will become less and lesser. Okay, so the air layer, the air layer is up to some kilometers level. After that kilometer level, it is not there only. Then it is becoming almost vacuum, and that is how we say that we are entering into the space. Correct. So we'll go to the next slide, the beginning of it. uh, we know that air is a mixture of gases. Uh, as someone said, majorly it is nitrogen. Nitrogen is the major one, that is 78%. Then there is oxygen, 20 to 21%. Some places it is written 21%, some places it is in 20%. It varies. Okay. So it is not a compulsion that ma'am it is 20 only 21. It can be between 20 to 21. Then there is 1% noble gases. In the periodic table, when we studied, I showed you all the noble gases in the last column. I told you all this helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon. These all are noble gases. So these
Helium
all,
is what? helium, neon, then
Krypton, xenon. If you open your periodic table, you will see all those gases. Okay, so now all these gases that we know are in the air. Majorly, they are in the air. Okay, and the air contains 1% of air contains these noble gases, and the noble gases are such that they do not react with anyone because they are very very noble. They don't want to react with anything or anyone, so they are very very unreactive. Okay, so this is how the composition of the gases of the air is. Then we have got carbon dioxide gas. Carbon dioxide gas is only 0.03%. Only we have 0.03% of carbon dioxide in the air. Rest 0.97%, which can approximately taken as 1%, that would be approximately say 1%, that would be the water vapor in the air. Now all these gases, majorly we'll talk about three gases: the oxygen, the carbon dioxide, and the water vapor. These three gases will vary from place to place. From place to place, I mean whether we are at sea level, whether we are at a plateau level, whether we are at a mountain level, or whether we are at a mountain Everest peak. You know, so at those
Ma'am,
kind of levels, they will vary. Yes.
ma'am, in the diagram there, ma'am, in the diagram ma'am, they've written something like argon gases. Ma'am, what are argon gases?
Argon gases means those noble gases.
Okay, ma'am.
So noble gases is where majorly argon is one of the
Ma'am, I
major
know what
contents.
are. Okay, ma'am.
And argon is a major content in all of them. So that is why we say argon gases. Okay. So I'm very sure that this composition of air is clear to you. Okay. Now we'll go next slide. This we're talking about the layers of the atmosphere. Okay. So if you all want, you can make a quick table. Okay. In that quick table, you can write the layers of the atmosphere, at what distance they are, and what is happening in that layer. So you can have three columns, and in every row you can put one point. Okay, you can do this whenever you do this whenever you are seeing the presentation later on also. Okay, so first layer is the troposphere layer. This is the most important layer because here is where 13 kilometers range we are living. Even if there is high rise building also, it will not extend more than that. Okay, so it is this layer that we are living in, this 13 kilometers range, and this is where the air that we are talking about is majorly present. And it is where the breathing is taking place. So all the exchange of gases and everything is taking place in this particular layer. Okay, and all our phenomena that we see in the weather, the rains, the fog, the hailstorm, everything is happening in this troposphere layer. Okay,
Ma'am,
then above that layer will, yes,
ma'am means troposphere layer is 13 kilometers far from the earth.
yes, from the earth's surface up you have to go in the sky, 13 kilometers. It's not far away, it is 13 kilometers wide.
Okay,
Wait one
ma'am.
second, we'll first go to the next slide. We'll first go to the next slide, then we'll come back to this slide. So, okay, so from the Earth's surface, you can see the troposphere layer all around us. Okay, it is all around us, and that will be approximately 13 kilometers. Above that troposphere layer will be stratosphere layer. Stratosphere layer is above that. Okay, that would be some other 50 kilometers. Then above that is the mesosphere layer, that will be another 85 kilometers. And above that is thermosphere, that is very wide, that is approximately 600 kilometers far. And then we have the exosphere layer, after which we enter into your space. Okay, understood these layers of the earth now, layers of the atmosphere. So now
Yes,
we'll
ma'am.
go to the details of it.
Ma'am,
Previous
so
slide.
the circumference of the troposphere is 13 kilometers.
Yes, the circumference, or rather, if you can say the width. I would not call the radius, but the width from Earth's surface touching till the sky, it is 13 kilometers.
Okay, ma'am.
From the shooting
So, ma'am,
stars or the asteroids that fall from mesosphere layers of the earth.
Sorry, can you repeat it once more?
Ma'am, like in this, they have shown that the shooting stars and are there in the mesosphere layers of the earth.
Yes, we'll come to that. Hold on, no, he is going one by one layer.
Okay, ma'am.
ma'am, here they've shown, here they've shown that at 25 kilometers it's troposphere and at 50 kilometers it's ozone layer. So, ma'am, at ozone layer ma'am, do you start seeing the space, and then from stratosphere and mesosphere and then thermosphere, you're like very close to space?
See, it is a very contradictory terms when we are saying space, okay? For us, we say space as in like anything above the ozone layer, we say it is space. But for understanding what is there in that space level, what is there in that space level, we are putting these layers of the atmosphere, okay? For us, space, we say anything above Earth and the air that we breathe, we say it is called as space, correct? But it is not like that, so. Okay. Huh? Yes? Okay. Let's go back to the previous slide. So I can just first discuss, then we come back to this slide again. So the troposphere layer is 13 kilometers. This is where we are majorly breathing. This is where all the phenomenon of the weather, that is formation of the cloud, the rainfall, the lightning, all that is happening in this 13-kilometer range. Above that is the stratosphere level. In the stratosphere level, it is approximately 50 kilometers. So we are going 13 plus 50. So from the Earth, it will start at the 13th level and it will extend up to 63 kilometers level from the Earth. Okay, this layer is free of cloud. There is no clouds, nothing, and that is why the planes, they will try to fly in this range. So if you've been in an aircraft, you will observe that there are clouds below you. Sometimes the clouds are next to you also, but you will find that the clouds are below you. So you are actually flying in the stratosphere layer. Okay, and the major feature is this, that the ozone layer is present in the stratosphere level. So after it is a very see, it is a very big layer, 50 kilometers. 50 kilometers is so big, going from here to almost Lonavala, almost. Okay, such a big layer, such a big width is there. In that you are flying also, and there is ozone layer present also. And the third one is the mesosphere. The mesosphere layer will extend more 80 kilometers. So 63 level it will start, and plus 80. 63 plus 80, you are going 143 kilometers above the earth level. Okay, there all the meteoroids, so those were not shooting stars, those were the meteoroids. When they start from the space, when they are coming into the earth's atmospheric layers, in this layer, once they enter, they will start to burn. For that matter, even any light which has gone and is returning back to the earth, when they enter into the earth's atmosphere, it is this layer where, because of the speed and the layer contents, it will try to catch fire and it will burn. Okay, above that is the thermosphere level. Now this layer is between 80 to 400 kilometers. So we are from the previous 80 kilometers. Now we've gone up to 400 kilometer range. In this layer, the radio transmission is taking place. So whatever radio waves that are being made, those radio waves are going up to the thermosphere level. They go up to the thermosphere level. Okay, so it is this layer where all our radio transmission is taking place. Okay, and above that is exosphere level. This is the most uppermost layer, exosphere levels of the Earth's atmosphere. Okay, and this layer now has got very thin air, or almost we can say that there is no air present in this layer. Okay, in this there is no air at all. If at all there is something, there is some gases like helium and hydrogen that is afloat. Okay, this is the major details of all the gases and all the air level that is present. Okay, so we'll go back next slide. We'll again discuss it from the, yes.
Ma'am, by 50 kilometers, like stratosphere goes for 50 kilometers, do you mean 50 kilometers from the surface of the earth or 50 kilometers from the top of the troposphere?
The top of the troposphere.
Okay, so it's 50 kilometers thick.
Yes, it's 50 kilometers thick. It is 50 kilometers wide.
Ma'am,
Okay.
is this the distance between the stratosphere layer or the Earth, or it comes up to the how much it is thick? With the help, with even counting ozone layer also.
It is how much it is thick. It is how much each level is, how much thickness is there in each level.
How thick is
How much
ozone
wide
layer?
it is.
Ma'am, how thick is ozone layer?
Ozone, I suppose, I'm not very sure, but I think what I vaguely remember, ozone layer is approximately 13 kilometers.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so this is see how the troposphere level is. Then we have the stratosphere level. Then we have the mesosphere level. Then comes the thermosphere, and then comes the exosphere level. Okay, so I'm just sure that this layers of the Earth's atmosphere is clear with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Now we are going to discuss in detail about each and every gas that we said is present in the air. Okay, so in the air, the gas that is majorly present is the nitrogen gas. Okay, this is present approximately 78%. Okay, nitrogen is very important for plants' growth. Okay, nitrogen is what is required by the plants, because if plants don't get nitrogen, the proper process of photosynthesis will not happen. That will not happen. They will not produce food. If they don't produce food, we won't be able to get food from the plants. It is a cycle that we are following from plants, from primary producers to secondary to tertiary to quaternary. That entire food chain that is there, I'm very sure you all must have learned it. That food chain will be hampered. So nitrogen is majorly present because it is being utilized by the plants. Now nitrogen is again an element, correct? There are two nitrogens.
Yes, ma'am.
Nitrogen occurs as an element in the Earth's atmosphere, and it is present as N2 as a molecule in the Earth's atmosphere. Now plants, when they are doing the process of photosynthesis, I'm very sure you all must have studied that they're only picking up carbon dioxide from the Earth's atmosphere and water vapor. And the other water that is coming majorly from the roots. Correct? Now, the plants are requiring nitrogen, but they can't digest nitrogen as a gas. they need nitrogen as a solid. So this gas has to be converted into some kind of salt. Like yesterday I gave you example, chlorine is a dangerous gas, green color, but when it gets combined with sodium, it becomes NaCl salt that we are using in the house. So now chlorine is present in your salt, in your table salt, right? Now that chlorine can be utilized by your body and can be used up by your body. Okay. Now what do we need to do is this nitrogen that the plants require is gas form has to come into the solid form. So that process is what is shown here in the nitrogen cycle. So what is happening? We'll start from the left hand side. There are clouds, there is rain happening in the clouds, and there is lightning. That lightning is breaking the nitrogen. Okay, so that nitrogen is getting formed from nitrogen. It becomes from N2, it becomes NO2. From NO2, it becomes NH4, and there are various different reaction that is happening. Why the reaction is happening? Because of the lightning. The lightning has so much of energy, so much of power that it creates a chemical reaction in the atmosphere, and that nitrogen into gas gets converted into some kind of solid form, and that flows with the rains and it comes down. So that is what is given there as NH4, and then it's getting converted to NO2. The other thing is, you all must have studied about uh, nodules present in the roots, or if you not studied, a lot of roots have got small uh, boils kind of things. Okay, so those are called as nodules. Those nodules contain certain kind of bacteria which is called as nitrogen fixation bacteria. Those nitrogen fixation bacteria, they also convert directly the N2 which is there in the atmosphere into NH3 form. So they all are trying to convert the N2 into some form which becomes now a solid form. Okay, which becomes a salt of it, and it can be used by the plant. Correct? So all this
Yes,
is
ma'am.
coming and it is being used, it is being absorbed. First of all, it is being absorbed by the roots. Those roots will absorb them and they will go into the plants. Okay. Now the plants, what they are doing is they are using that, and they will, whatever the byproduct is there is being again released back. Even when the plants die also, like there was nitrogen fixation bacteria, there is denitrifying bacteria. Those denitrifying bacteria, D, you say no, addiction, de-addiction. So there is something you're getting addicted to TV and then you say, please get de-addicted to it. So nitrification and denitrification. So nitrogen fixation bacteria converts N2 gas into solid form, and this denitrifying bacteria are converting the solid form again back into the gas form, the N2 form. So this is how the denitrification happens and the nitrogen returns back to the atmosphere. So this is a cycle, right? We started from N2, we ended up with products like NH4, NH3, NO2, we came back to N2. So that is why this nitrogen cycle is present in the air. The other very important point of nitrogen being there is, we know we require oxygen for burning. Without oxygen, there cannot be any burning that is taking place. Now you imagine if the atmosphere was 100% oxygen, even a slight click of something, even a slight anything would create such a big fire that the entire earth would become in fire within no time. So the nitrogen is actually controlling that fire. The nitrogen being 78% is not allowing these things to happen and to take place, right? So that is why we say that uh, nitrogen is balancing out the oxygen which is
Excuse
present
me,
in
ma'am.
the atmosphere.
Excuse me, ma'am. How did the scientists
Hmm.
about know to come how much nitrogen is in the air and how much oxygen is in the air?
So there are a certain type of experiments by which you take a little bit quantity of air, you react, you try to react the nitrogen. How much ever nitrogen is reacted, so much vacuum gets created, and then you come to know that the vacuum that is created has been caused because of the 80% of the contents, and so they come to know that now it is 80% of nitrogen present. The same way we do one experiment for oxygen also. So what we do is uh, uh, we take water in a beaker or water in a basically flat plate. Okay, and in that we are going to put a candle. Okay, we burn it and then we invert a glass funnel on it or a glass beaker on it. The minute all the oxygen is utilized, the candle will blow off. Now, oxygen, what was there, was being utilized, and the candle blows off. So much what is created, vacuum is created. 20% vacuum will be created. So whatever around the candle, the water is there, that water will rise up into so much level. So because vacuum can't be present out there, so it pulls up, that vacuum pressure pulls up the oxygen, pulls up the water that is around it, and so water level will increase 20% in that. That is how we find out for oxygen. The same way they do a reaction for nitrogen also. So that is how they come to know that nitrogen is present as 78% or 80% or whatever. Okay. This is about nitrogen.
Okay, ma'am.
Nitrogen normally exists as gas. There is a very good form of nitrogen. I'm very sure you all must have seen is nitrogen ice cream. I'm very sure you all must have
Yes,
seen nitrogen ice cream.
Yes.
Okay, in that they are using a surface which is very very cold, and they're using a nitrogen gas out there.
Ma'am,
So
I
what
can't
they're
hear
doing,
you.
they're not using nitrogen gas. They're using nitrogen liquid.
from liquid.
So
What is liquid nitrogen?
nitrogen is a gas, okay, at atmospheric pressure and at atmospheric temperature. Now I want to make it into liquid. So I have to cool it, correct? From gas I want to go back to liquid, I'll have to cool it.
Ma'am,
I'll
I
have
can't
to
hear you.
remove the heat. So for that it has to be cooled up to how many degrees? Minus 196 degrees, almost minus 200 degrees. And this liquid nitrogen is used for cryogenic techniques. What is cryogenic techniques? When you are cooling the things to a very, very low temperature. So cryogenic techniques are utilized mainly in very high experiments for transportation of DNA material and all those, very sensitive material from one place to the other. So it, because it is so very very cold, it keeps your material, that sensitive material, as it is, firm as it is. For even DNA extraction also we use nitrogen, liquid nitrogen. Why? Because it is very cold, it will break the DNA of all the cells also. So that is how the liquid nitrogen uh, is helping us majorly. So what we do is the oxygen gas that is there is getting cooled, and that cooling is making it into a liquid, and now that liquid is being used for a lot of techniques in with us. So this was majorly use of nitrogen, but besides that, nitrogen present in the air also we discussed how it is used by the plants and everything, and how it is majorly balancing out for the percentage of oxygen that is there in the Earth's atmosphere. Okay, very sure nitrogen is clear. Now we'll go to the next component, that is
Ma'am?
oxygen.
Ma'am,
Yes.
is nitrogen harmful for
No, nitrogen is not harmful for you at all. Nothing is going to happen with nitrogen. Okay, so oxygen, very important gas. We know we are breathing it. Without oxygen, we just can't live without oxygen. Besides
Ma'am,
that,
with nitrogen also our age grows.
what happens with nitrogen? Hello? Who said something about nitrogen? With nitrogen, our age grows. Okay, I don't know about this. Let us know in more details when you come to know about what it is exactly. Okay, how it is helping to how it is helping for our age to grow and in what form. Okay. Okay. So oxygen is very important gas. It is used for breathing. Secondly, oxygen is a combustible gas. Combustion, that is, see, there are many words for catching of fire. There are many words for combustion. They all mean the same. If I say fire, if I say burning, if I say combustion, if I say oxidation, all these four words mean the same when you are reacting with oxygen. Okay? So any substance that can catch fire, those substances are called as combustible substances. When those combustible substances are reacting with oxygen and they create fire, it is called as combustion. Okay, so oxygen is itself a combustible gas, plus it helps in combustion also. So oxygen is a double thing. It is both of the things together, and it is present 21%. It is why we are living, otherwise we won't be living. Okay, and because
Ma'am,
of
so
the
sodium is
percentage that
also
it is there. Huh?
ma'am, sodium will also be a combustible gas, right?
Yes, sodium is also combustible. So it is because 21% it is there in the earth atmosphere, it will not catch fire. Okay, the oxygen we say is the second most plentiful gas in the air. Okay, and oxygen is again present as a molecule as O2 in the atmosphere. Okay, like I told you, the experiment of the candle, this is how it is. You need to take a plate with water filled in it and place a candle, invert a glass on it. If you'll invert the glass on it, whatever oxygen was there will be utilized in the glass, and the candle will blow off, because now the candle is combustible, but there is no gas for combustion. There is no oxygen gas available. So how much ever the oxygen gas was there, that is 20%. How much ever 20% of oxygen gas is there, that 20% oxygen gas will be utilized, and and uh, and that 20% will be filled up by water, will be filled up by water. Okay. Okay, so that is how the oxygen we come to know, that is present 20% in the air. Okay, I'm sure this oxygen is clear to you. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
next we'll go to the next gas, that is the carbon dioxide gas. Carbon dioxide gas is very another important gas. It is only present 0.03%. But why it is important? Because of carbon dioxide, food is being produced by the plants
Yes,
by the
ma'am.
process of photosynthesis. Because they produce food, photosynthesis, food is the one part. Besides that, the byproduct that they are producing in it is oxygen gas, which is again being utilized by us. So carbon dioxide is in turn with the oxygen forming a carbon dioxide oxygen cycle. The carbon dioxide is used, the oxygen is being produced, and the food is also being produced. Okay. How is the carbon dioxide present? The carbon dioxide is one C and two O's, like the way it is shown in the picture, one C and two O's. Okay. Now, the property of carbon dioxide as opposed to oxygen is totally opposite. It is not a combustible gas. Okay, it is
Ma'am, it is a
not a combustible gas. In
non-combustible
fact,
gas.
yes, so it helps to control the fire. So that is why in our fire extinguishers, when we start the fire extinguisher, what comes out is actually the carbon dioxide gas. What is coming out? That is how, if supposing there is a fire on a surface, when you spray the fire extinguisher on it, that fire extinguisher will spray a layer of carbon dioxide gas on the fire, because of which there will be a cutoff between the fire and the oxygen layer, means the basically cutoff between that and the atmospheric layer. So if there is a cutoff between that and the atmospheric layer, there is no contact of oxygen. If there is no contact of oxygen, there will be no further burning, and you can control whatever that burning is happening, and you can let that go off. Okay, correct. So that is how the carbon dioxide is helping. So even if there is fire, what they tell is you put a blanket over it. Why you put a blanket? You wonder, you're cutting off the contact between the air. That same process is happening with carbon dioxide. So this is how there is a carbon dioxide and oxygen control in the air. Okay, we'll go to the next slide.
So, ma'am, although carbon dioxide contains oxygen in it as the oxygen element in it, then also, ma'am, it is a non-combustible gas.
Very much. It is a compound. It's a new compound. Properties will be totally different. We discussed yesterday, properties of compounds will be totally different from their elements.
Yes, ma'am.
So now combustion is basically a reaction, as I told you, between any substance and oxygen. You can also call it combustion, you can call it oxidation, you can also call it burning also. Okay, and this air, whatever air, if it is containing oxygen, there will be burning. So basically, you say in absence of air, there will be no combustion at all. And there is something which is called as a fire triangle. For the fire triangle to happen, there must be three things. There must be fuel. The fuel is the one that is the combustible substance. So, for example, uh, cloth is combustible, wood is combustible, then paper is combustible, because paper is a byproduct of wood only, basically. Okay.
Ma'am, actually, most of the organic things are combustible.
Okay. So all this is fuel. They are the combustible substances. Okay. Non-combustible substance would be like some of your metals will be non-combustible. Okay. Then we go to something that is called as air. That air is what is containing the oxygen. So the oxygen will be the major component for a fire to take place. And after that, a heat factor is required. Like we did the experiment where we took the white color uh, paper cup and we burnt it. What happened was just paper, so it started to burn quickly and it just burned. When we put water in it and then we burnt it, it did not burn up for a long time. So why was that happening? Because of the specific heat capacity of the water. So that specific heat capacity of water was not reached. When it will reach, then only will the cup catch the fire. So that heat is very important to come, and that heat is what we call as the ignition temperature. That ignition temperature is very important for any fire to take place. Okay, so three things: fuel, oxygen, and heat. Three things for a fire to occur. Okay, next. Next, what we have got combustion, the experiment that I just showed you all in that slide. It says that you require oxygen. So on the left hand side, you will see that there is oxygen. So there is oxygen, basically it is air. So that air will contain everything, no? It will contain oxygen, it will contain carbon dioxide, it will contain water also. So, so we say that all water vapor, right? So we will say that once all the oxygen is being utilized, so on the left hand side there is 6 molecules of oxygen. Once all the oxygen is utilized, what will happen is that the fire will burn off. Once the fire will burn off, once the fire will burn off, the part which was there, which was occupied by oxygen, is now being occupied by carbon dioxide and by water which was there around it, and it will be uh, it will pull up the water that is around it. Okay, okay. Just hope this is clear with you.
Yes,
Any
ma'am.
doubts up till this? Any doubts up till this level?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No.
Ma'am, I didn't
No,
understand
ma'am.
what was. Ma'am, I didn't understand what was happening in the picture on the right.
On the right, all the oxygen was utilized, and it is getting converted into carbon dioxide.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am,
So we'll
but
go
the
to the next.
clouds are, ma'am,
Hmm?
ma'am, the clouds,
Yes.
the clouds, the clouds positions are in the, are like besides the troposphere or like inside the troposphere.
The cloud is in the troposphere.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, so if I start burning a stick, the stick is mainly hydrocarbons, so so hydrogen will react with oxygen and turn into water,
Yes. Yes.
and the carbon will turn into carbon dioxide.
Yes. Correct. Okay. So now we'll go to the next one. Now we'll talk about the noble gases. Okay, we're going to the noble gases. Okay. So in the noble gases, we'll talk about the gases that are present, in the air. Okay, so the gases that are present in the air, mainly, like I said, the major part of those gases that are present is the argon gas. Okay, so the argon gas is 0.9%. The argon gas is mainly 0.9%. Then we have got neon gas. After neon gas, you have the helium gas. So the neon gas is approximately 0.018%. Okay, so we have got 0.9% argon. Then we have got 0.0018% neon, and then we have 0.0005% helium. Then the krypton present is 0.0011%. Xenon is present 0.00005 times 9%. So argon, neon, helium, krypton, xenon. These gases are present in the atmosphere. Okay. So, but majorly the gas that is present is argon. That's why we normally say it is the argon gas. Argon is present on Mars. I really don't know about Mars. I will have to find out and we'll let you know. Tell me your question.
I had my friend held a birthday party. I went at his house and he said that see I've stuck the balloons. I pulled it, it was filled with helium, so it was stuck to the ceiling. He said now see I'm going to leave it in air. He left it out of his house, it went way up. What might have happened?
Helium gas is lighter than all the components of the air in density.
Yeah.
So the
What
things
might
that
have
are lighter. Huh?
What might
So
happen to the balloon after it reaches a certain point?
it'll go up to a certain level and it'll burst off.
It will burst. Ma'am, many weather balloons were launched and then they burst. So the GoPro or the
Yeah, they
cameras
burst
fall
off.
down.
Yeah, because they go to
Ma'am,
a certain
what happens
temperature
to the
level.
gas then?
Ma'am, is these all
What will
molecules?
happen to the gas? What will happen to the gas? The balloon will burst off. The plastic will burst off, and the balloon, the gas, the helium gas will be released in the atmosphere.
So will it keep on going up or will it stop there?
It'll get mixed up. Gas is gas. It'll get mixed up into the air, whatever at whichever level it gets bursted.
Ma'am, are these molecules or an atom
They are
atoms?
single atoms. They're single atoms. I
Ma'am,
told you all they
all
don't like to react with. They don't react with anyone. So helium, neon, argon, they are single atoms. They are not bonded to anyone. They are
means
free.
all noble gases are
Ma'am, they are chemically stable.
Yeah, they're chemically very stable. That's why they are called noble gases, and they will not react with any atom. Okay. So I'm very sure your excitement about noble gases is over. Okay, we'll discuss about the uses of each of the noble gases. Um, Majorly, all these noble gases are extracted from the air only. Okay, when we were in our 11th standard and 12th standard, we had an entire chapter based on noble gases where we had studied how the air is utilized, how the air, the nitrogen is removed, the oxygen is removed, the carbon dioxide is removed, then only what is left is just water vapor. Water vapor is also removed, and then finally what we have left is only noble gases. Now that noble gases, whatever is there, is one by one with its reaction, not reaction basically, it is adsorbed. The substances that adsorb it, like, like a sponge kind of a thing. So adsorb, I'm saying adsorb, not absorb. Okay, there's a difference between adsorb and absorb. So there are different materials which are used for absorbing different kind of noble gases. So you are able to extract these noble gases separately out. Okay. Now after that, how are we using them is what is important. Okay. So uh, uh, helium, that is majorly used for filling the balloons. The balloons are majorly filled with helium, and that those are so light, no? So they kind of fill up your ceiling, so it looks good. So that's why instead of air balloons they use helium, and they are more stable also than the air balloons. Okay. Rest helium mixed with oxygen is given to divers of or to mountaineers which go at great heights. So what happens, when they're going at great heights, or when they're going deep into the diving, there is something which is called as the there is a nitrogen. Uh, there's a nitrogen, means if air is there, no, nitrogen will get into your body and will cause big bubbles, and it will cause your body parts to pain, and it will cause danger to your body parts. That will be avoided when you use a oxygen and helium mixture. So it avoids those bends that is caused because of the air. Okay, so that is why that's why oxygen and helium mixture is used for divers. Okay. Next is the neon. Neon, I'm very sure you all must have seen in the neon signboards and everywhere. Okay. So we are using the neons for signs, and we are
Ma'am, I can't hear you.
carrying out.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking
So
in between.
okay. So now is it clear? Now is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Yes. So neon is basically used for signboards because they kind of give out a fluorescence light. Okay. Many times you must have seen on the roads also, there are those neon speed breakers kind of kept at the sides, or probably near the speed breaker, so that you can come to know that there is a speed breaker at night. So basically they give a fluorescence light, because of which we are using neon as in the signboards which can be seen in the night. Okay. So
So,
that is how
ma'am,
neon is
ma'am,
used.
neon can sometimes even can be used in like in the t-shirts or shirts in which that design it glows at the night. So is neon gas used in there also?
Yeah, that is used there also. Okay. So we've done helium and we've done neon. We'll go to the next. Next is argon. Okay. So argon is, like we said, it is majorly present in, out of all the noble gases, argon is present. Okay, you know what? I will have to stop this session because you all are so busy typing. I'm very sure you all know the content, and you all are too happy to discuss things within yourself. No? Yes? I'm very sure, no? You all know so much, you all are discussing so much. Should I stop?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Ma'am.
No,
Okay,
ma'am.
so argon is the inert gas that we are using in the light bulbs. earlier times we had bulbs which were made out of tungsten filament. Now we don't use that. Then came a revolution where we started using CFL bulbs, compact fluorescent lamps we were using. Now we have replaced that also, and we are using now LED bulbs. So we are going on with the technology, but the olden time, the bulbs that were there, the ones that had the tungsten filament inside it, those bulbs were filled with argon gas. Why they were filled with argon gas is because that tungsten was getting heated up to a very high temperature. So once it gets heated to a very high temperature, the around air also gets very much high. Now if air contains oxygen and contains some combustible substances, it will burst. So that is why, so that those metals don't react with oxygen, we needed an inert gas. And so the inert gas which was readily available, argon gas, and we started using the argon gas. That is how argon was filled in the olden times ka bulb. I'm very sure in your house you must be having one or two of those bulbs now, probably one or two, or not also. Okay. Now then we use krypton. Krypton is used for light in the photography. So electric current is passed to the gas, so it emits light. It is also kind of like a fluorescence. When you pass electricity through it, it will kind of give a bright light. So we go to the previous slide. In that, the photographs are given of what kind of light is given where, which kind of light. Helium gives a pink color light when electricity is passed. Neon gives a orange light. Argon gives a pink color light. Krypton gives a white color. Xenon gives a blue color light. So that is how these gases were used for different kind of photographies. Okay, next. Xenon is also again used for high quality. One second, previous. Xenon is also used for high quality lamps, especially in the lighthouses, in lasers. Hmm? And
Ma'am,
radon. Radon, one second. Radon is a very radioactive element. What do I mean by radioactivity is that um, after everything has got a radioactive lifespan, okay, half lifespan. So if supposing I have 10 grams of radon, and I say the radioactivity life of that is 500 years. So that 10 grams after 500 years will become 5 grams. Okay, so the half life has become, it becomes half of it. That is called as the radioactive half life. And in that mass that was lost, see, you cannot destroy mass again. You're not destroying mass, you have to convert it to something. So it converts it into radioactive waves, it converts it into radioactive transmissions, light, like alpha, beta, and gamma rays. So it is called as radioactive element. It emits radioactive light. Okay, so that is why we say radon is a radioactive metal. Okay, I'm very sure all the noble gases are clear with you. Someone had some doubt?
ma'am, neon. You said when electricity is passed, it produces an orange color. But there are many pink neon lights and blue neon lights. So how do they make that?
So probably they have done some change uh, in the not the neon. They are using probably xenon or some other noble gas, or probably there's some technology because of which you can change the light also. Don't really know about that how that color is changing. It
Okay.
could
Ma'am,
be
I
neon, it
have
could
a
be some other
question.
gas also.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
Ma'am, so if
Hmm.
you like lessen the quantity of electricity that is going through the gas, can you change the color?
Probably, I really don't know, Atharva. Probably it could be the case. You could change the color or you could change the amount of light. That could be a new technology. What I really just know is that when you're passing electricity, these gases have the ability to re-emit the light in some form of fluorescence light. And that is what is happening. Now, how much quantity electricity is being passed, which light is being produced, are we able to vary it or not vary it, how it is happening, that has to be studied more into details.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so we'll go to the next. Next content in the air is the water vapor. So lot of times you must have observed you've kept a bottle, cold bottle in the freezer. You remove it outside, and there is continuously water vapor on the surface of the water bottle. Correct? What is happening? The water is
Yes,
leaking
ma'am.
from the bottle. The water is leaking from the bottle.
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Then
Ma'am, the water vapor is condensed into water droplets.
Ma'am, that water vapor from the air has
It's
just
due to
condensed into
condensation.
liquid water.
It's
yes.
due
So
to condensation.
whatever water vapor was there in the atmosphere was in the gas form. Okay, it was in the gas form, water vapor. The minute it touches a cold surface, so gas getting cooled becomes what? Liquid. It becomes water. That process is what we studied last time in the interconversion of matter, that it is condensation. This process is condensation. When the gas is getting converted back into liquid, we call it as a condensation method. Correct? So water vapor very easily condenses and it forms water. Now, as I told you, the water vapor content is different in different areas. So that amount of uh, content of water vapor in the air is called as humidity. So we say it is very humid today. Almost 0% of water vapor. So it is very dry climate out there. Okay,
Ma'am, your
so
voice
the
is breaking.
humidity level is very less out there. The humidity level will be very more near the sea levels. In the sea level, there's so much, it's surrounded so much by water that the water vapor is concentrated more into the atmosphere that time. So the humidity is very high. So humidity is the word that is used for the amount of water vapor present in the atmosphere. Okay, so you say humid climate. So whenever it is rainy season, you will check the humidity. So they say that when the humidity mainly crosses 90 to 95%, there are chances of raining. When the humidity is increasing, the chances of rain will also increase. When the humidity chances are less, the rain will also be less out there. Okay, so this is what is about the water vapor in the air. Okay, besides this, we did nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, noble gases, water vapor. Besides that, there is a lot of dust particles, a lot of uh, um, polluted particles in the atmosphere also. Very good example is, wherein when in the morning the first sunlight comes into the window, that sunlight, you can see all the particles, flowing in the air. So those are not some organisms or anything. Those are just dust particles, which is normally there right now also in front of you also. You can't see it. It is the sunlight that is helping you to see it.
Ma'am, sometimes without the sunlight also I can see it.
You cannot see without the sunlight. There must be little bit sunlight that you'll be able to see it. It must be with some light that you can see it. Without light, you can't see it. Okay?
Ma'am, I did it once.
Okay?
Ma'am,
Okay.
how many
Tell me.
percentage water vapors and radon are present in atmosphere?
Ra- radon. Radon is very little. You can go to 0.000000560 and then some 1, 2, 3. And water vapor, I told you, is changing from place to place. It could be 1% somewhere, it could be 0.5%, it could be in that 1% range. Below that, not more than that.
Ma'am, means water
It's
vapors is
still
not fixed.
it is not fixed, yes, it is not fixed. Basically, none of the gases are fixed. There's going to be a little bit slight change at each every level. It's going to change a little bit. Oxygen level at sea level, at plateau level is there, 20-21%. As you go higher, it is reducing. It is becoming 16, 17, sorry, 18, 17, 16. By the time you reach to Mount Everest, it will be very, very less out there. That is why you have to wear those oxygen masks and go.
Ma'am, Mount Everest peak is in the troposphere only, right?
Yes, yes, very much in the troposphere level. Okay, so we'll go to the next part. Yes, season-wise also the percentage will change.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let's go to the next slide. Now, this next topic, no, is a very boring topic. Okay, boring also, but easy also and interesting also. So it is up to a different person.
Ma'am, how is it
I feel it very
interesting
bored.
if it's boring?
How it is interesting, because if you had not studied this, you would not have so many air purifiers. You would not know that you have to conserve the air. You would not know. You would not carry out methods to protect your ozone layer. You would not come out with new technology. That is how it is interesting. So it depends on your interest. If you find interest in this topic, well and good. Okay. So, what are the causes of the air pollution? Air pollution is basically, it is when there is some contents in the air that is causing uh, it is causing harm to the human body. One thing, human body, other living things, and two, as a whole, the whole planet. So then we call it as an air pollution. Okay. What are the causes of air pollution? The major causes of air pollution. First of all, we are burning fossil fuels. We burn lot of fossil fuels, and that
Yes, ma'am.
emits a lot of carbon monoxide gases, sulfur dioxide gases. All of those gases that are being released is
And they're
causing a lot
increasing
of,
in number.
yes. If the combustion is taking place properly, it will produce carbon dioxide gas, like we discussed. Okay, oxygen will be converted to carbon dioxide. If the combustion is not happening properly, so then that carbon will be converted into carbon monoxide, CO, and that carbon monoxide is very, very dangerous. It is poisonous to human beings, because it goes and blocks the sites of oxygen, where oxygen goes and sits in the hemoglobin. So if it goes and blocks the oxygen site where oxygen is sitting, what is flowing in your body is carbon monoxide, and you can't use it, and so eventually you can die. So that kind is called as carbon monoxide poisoning. And to keep that in check, we do a PUC check, pollution under control check. So what they do is, in the exhaust of the vehicles, they put a pipe and they check that the proper combustion is taking place or no. Means your engine is working well or no. If the engine is working well, the petrol will be changed into carbon dioxide, and if your engine is not working well, it is getting converted to carbon monoxide. How much carbon monoxide it is producing, it will check. So there are certain levels of carbon monoxide: 0.06%, 0.1%, 0.2%. All that percentage is mentioned in the PUC check certificate. So if you have anytime a PUC check certificate, see it, read it properly on the behind side. You will come to know what is allowed in which cars. Okay. Then automobiles also, like we discussed, all the automobiles, they are also a major cause of all the gases. And these all gases are called as greenhouse gases. All these greenhouse gases, what are they doing is, see what are greenhouse gases, that all these gases are uh, forming a layer, over the over the troposphere. Okay, so the minute they are forming a layer over the troposphere level, what is supposed to happen, that when the heat is coming from the sun, it is supposed to hit the earth's surface. Whatever heat the earth is supposed to take, it is going to take, and it is going to reflect back. So heat is coming down and it is bouncing back again. How much ever is being utilized, not being utilized, it is going back. When it is going back, it is going back into the atmosphere. So to go back into the atmosphere, it has to pass those again levels. Now these gases are so dense and so thick, they don't let the heat pass outside. So if the heat is not passing outside, they are trapping the heat in the Earth's atmosphere. And because of that, those gases are causing a lot of heat in the Earth's atmosphere. And because of that heat in the Earth's atmosphere, the whole temperature of the planet is increasing. And that is how they are called as the greenhouse gases. Okay, so all these uh, carbon monoxide, even carbon dioxide for that matter, a major part of it, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, the CFCs, the sulfur dioxide, the nitrogen dioxide, all these gases are called as the greenhouse gases. Then even in the agriculture also, ammonia is being released by the agricultural pesticides, fertilizers. Even ammonia is also very, very harmful. Ammonia is a very dirty smell that mainly comes in the urine.
Ma'am,
So the
does
smell that comes in a, when you go outside in a public toilet, you get that smell. That is that urea smell. That is that ammonia kind of a smell. Okay, so that is also causing a lot of harm. That is also hazardous gas. Next, next slide. Even industries, they release so much of all these gases, polluted gases into the atmosphere. Each industry has a certain norm given by the government that you're supposed to filter it and then release, but they're not doing that. They're not carrying out that. So because of that, it is again causing a lot of harm in the atmosphere. Also mining, when we're going deep into the earth atmosphere, deep into the earth's surface inside, we are going towards the inside layers of the earth, and we're doing the process of mining. A lot of dust and chemicals are released, and that also is causing pollution in the air. And in domestic also, in the domestic, we are using a lot of cleaning products, sometimes paints, the smell from the paints, the chemicals from the paints, that also pollutes the air. So these are majorly the causes of the air pollution. Next slide. What are the effects? First, I told you the effect, the major effect is a respiratory disorder. It is going, this gases go and block the space which is supposed to be actually occupied by the oxygen. So it causes a lot of respiratory disorders. Respiratory disorders will lead to heart disorders. It may also lead to a lot of uh, cancers, lung cancers. People mainly living near the polluted areas, they get prone to pneumonia, asthma. Asthma is also a major effect of air pollution. So this is the mainly diseases. A lot of diseases being caught by the human beings. Besides that, global warming, as we discussed, the greenhouse gases, the global warming is there. Because of the global warming, the entire temperature of the earth is increasing. Because the temperature of the earth is increasing, we are saying that the peaks of the mountains are melting, the glaciers are melting, the poles, Antarctica, the Arctica, there all the glaciers are melting. So see, all that is right now balanced by the earth, by nature, and there is certain balance that has to be required at each and every different location. If you're changing that, then that is going to cause a lot of further effects. Water level will increase, there would be more disasters, tsunamis, earthquakes, a lot of things
Ma'am,
will change by
ma'am,
nature
the ozone
itself.
layer is also getting destroyed due to that.
Yes, the ozone layer is getting destroyed. Right now, they say because of the lockdown, the ozone layer has got repaired up to what a
Yes,
lot of
ma'am. Ma'am,
extent
there was
because
a hole.
all the
Ma'am,
Ma'am, there was a
activities,
hole.
up to 85% the pollution has lessened.
yeah, so because of that, all the repair is
Ma'am, but
taking place. So,
because
see,
the pollution
it
has
is,
gone away, ma'am, but because there's no pollution, ma'am, the ozone layer completely built itself.
hmm. So that's what. So, it is a long process. It's not going to happen, like overnight. We are in lockdown from almost 2 to 3 months, almost now, 2.5 months it's been, we're in this condition. So all this changes has taken place because we are totally shut down. Now once we start beginning again, and there is again everything has to rise up, the industrialization, everything, the vehicles, everything. Again that repaired percentage will again go down again. So basically all this has to be realized by the human being because you are living in it, your children are going to further live into it, and what you're going to leave for your for generation is going to be much much worse nature. Okay, next page, next effects. Acid rain acid rain is very important. What happens is all these gases are there in the atmosphere.
Ma'am, the
When
gas
it
in
starts
the
raining,
atmosphere, which is
water,
it mixes with the rain.
yeah, yeah, so it mixes with the rain, so the water reacts with NO2, it forms HNO3, nitric acid. It reacts with SO2, it becomes H2SO4. It reacts with some other gas, it forms an acid. So that acid is what is falling down. And that acid that falls down, it majorly harms the human beings, it harms the animals, the plant lives. Besides that, it also harms a lot of monuments also. That acid destroys the marble and everything that is there. So acid rain is basically the reaction of water with all these gases which forms acid, and it falls down with the rain as liquid, and it is harming a lot of things. Ozone depletion, we spoke so much about it, that all this ozone depletion is there. The ozone is a layer which is helping to stop the harmful ultraviolet rays coming from the sun. So it is not coming to us, the ultraviolet rays. The ultraviolet rays causes a lot of skin diseases and a lot of problems, so that all is also reducing. Besides that, air pollution also affects human beings, also it affects a lot of animals also. It causes a lot of diseases in the aquatic life also, so that all is also there. So these are the effects of the air pollution. Next slide. Now, what are the ways that you can control? Basically, you should reduce the vehicles, or you should use vehicles with good technology, with renewable technologies, solar technology,
I'm trying
something else, which is not producing all these
Ma'am,
harmful
Sarika.
gases. Yeah, all these things. Then energy conservation, you should conserve energy. You should not unnecessarily burn electricity, so that in your using more of electricity, the electricity is being produced more by the fossil fuels. So if you do use that, we use efficient equipments in the house. We're using CFL bulbs now. We're using LED ones, so it is helping us to conserve the energy. Besides that, we should use all the new kind of energy resources. We had done all these: the solar, the wind, the water, all the ones that the renewable resources of and energy can be taken place. We abort all the olden techniques in which a lot of all these harmful gases can be produced as a byproduct. Okay, next. So these are again very small measures, like you minimize use of fire and fire products. You minimize industrial emissions should be controlled. The industries should take care that they are letting out the pollutant after cleaning the air. You should use fuel substitution. For example, you should use CNG gases. Uh, those are very good. Those don't produce a lot of harmful gases. And we should uh, we should do continuously vehicle checks. We normally don't do PUC. We say, okay, why should we do PUC? We should abide by the practices that is given by the government as a norm. We should do those things. I think a little effort on each of our side we can definitely do. See, y'all are very young children. Y'all further growing big. Y'all are going to grow into responsible citizens. Y'all can bring about a change. I'm very sure. I At least at one level, at some level, y'all can definitely do it. So I'm very sure that a little change from each one of us can help us to control a lot of pollutions. This is one of it. A lot of pollutions can be controlled if we ourselves get responsible citizens at this time. Okay. I think we finish. Next slide. Mm. Yeah, you plant more trees. You're planting more trees, and you're seeing that the industries are again doing the proper work that they're supposed to do. I am really going to stop this messaging process. I'm seriously. Can we, Swapna, disable this messaging from our end?
I will check that out, Farida.
Okay. So I think we have majorly finished the topic for the day. Okay. Uh, I'm very sure we've discussed questions at each level. Still, anybody has some questions, you all can definitely ask.
No questions, ma'am.